So with your kind permission, can we start the program, sir, now?
Yeah, please start.
Thank you, sir. Thank you so much, sir.
Thank you,
It's really wonderful to have you join us for the inaugural session of this important webinar on Agro PV and grid integration. And we are really fortunate and honored by your august presence, sir. Without taking much of a time, I would now request the Secretary of the Central Board of Irrigation and Power, Mr. Dinkar, to welcome the guests. And following that, we will also have a welcome by the Director of IGF, who is joining from Germany, Mr. Tobias Winter. Mr. Dinkar, first you, and then Mr. Tobias Winter.
Thank you, MNRE. Good afternoon. I am A.K. Dinkar, Secretary CBIP, and I welcome you all to this online training program on Agro PV plants and RE grid integration. A hearty welcome to our Honorable Minister of State, Ministry of New and Renewable Energy, MNRE, Government of India, Shri Bhagwanth Khuba ji, for having accepted our invitation to deliver the inaugural address. We are indeed grateful to you, sir, for sparing time from your busy schedule. A warm welcome to Dr. Arun Kumar Tripathi, Scientist G, MNRE, Government of India, and Director General, National Institute of Solar Energy, NISE. Our grateful welcome to all our distinguished speakers, especially from Germany, and also to our delegates and participants. COVID 2019 has affected the activities, and dissemination of knowledge has become a big challenge. Physical conferencing may not be possible for some time till the effects of current pandemic is over, and hence the need for an online trainings and tutorials. We are very much thankful to Indo-German Energy Forum, IGEAF, for co-organizing this event and all kind of support extended to CBIP. We are also grateful to all the organizations who have nominated their senior level technical officers for participating in online training program. I am sure our participants will carry a lot of new learnings and experience from a very high level expert team of speakers. We would encourage you to please share your queries and make the training interactive. I now request Shri Anil Kumar, Co-Director IGF, to briefly introduce the program and also announce important housekeeping measures of this webinar. Jai Hind.
Thank you, Dinkarji. Can I request Mr. Tobias Winter, who is joining all the way from Germany, to say a few words about IGF and also welcome the Honorable Minister. Tobias Winter, the floor is yours.
Namaskar, everyone. Honorable Minister, A.K. Dinka, Secretary Ji, Dr. Patel, Anil Ji, Dr. Tripathi Ji from NICE, Pulipaka Ji, Dr. Sandra, Maximilian, welcome to this program. Yes, I'm here in Germany.
Anil ji?
Tobias, is there a problem with the audio? Yeah, you can go. Yeah.
Am I back again?
Yes, you are back again. Yeah, sorry.
Yeah. Everything.
You are audible. Go ahead, sir.
Your video is off. Audio is off, sir.
Yep. Tobias? I don't know. I think we have lost Tobias Winter there. No. Okay. I think there's some problem, connection problem in Germany. What we could do is, now I would give a couple of details about the program. Sir, for your information, this is the third in the series of the online training program. IGEF and CBIP have been organizing regularly these training programs and best practice study tours. In the last 5 years, we have had about 7-8 programs, physical visits to some of the sites of the projects. And because of the COVID, I mean, we have been organizing these online training programs. We have had training programs on floating solar and the pump storage last year. And now we are having on Agro PV and PV grid integration. Sir, with your kind permission, I would request all the speakers to introduce themselves to you, sir, if that's fine. I mean, there are 5 or 6 of them, I mean, the speakers who are in the current session. Can I start with Dr. Arun Tripathi?
Yes. नमस्कार आदरणीय मंत्री जी, आपको प्रणाम। अरुण त्रिपाठी, मैं वैज्ञानिक जी मिनिस्ट्री ऑफ न्यू एंड रिन्यूएबल एनर्जी में हूँ और नेशनल इंस्टीट्यूट ऑफ सोलर एनर्जी का मैं महानिदेशक भी हूँ। मैं इसमें आके बहुत अच्छा लग रहा है और इस ट्रेनिंग के बारे में हम लोग फिर बाद में बात करेंगे। नमस्कार।
Can I now request our German speaker, Mr. Maximilian Forsett from Fraunhofer?
Yes, thank you, Anil. Namaskar to everyone. My name is Maximilian Borist. I'm a researcher in Fraunhofer Institute for Solar Energy Systems in Germany, and particularly working on agrivoltaics research. And I'm happy to be here and happy also that you, Honorable Minister, were able to join us today. Thank you.
Mr. Tobias Winter. Yeah.
Namaskar.
You can introduce yourself as speaker now.
Thank you. Yeah. Honorable Minister, 6 years in India now, and a passion for renewable energies and a passion for agriculture. And with the prices for going down, the combination of solar energy and agriculture, increasing the land use efficiency is one of our personal passions actually in this program. And yeah, we are pretty much honored for your presence here.
Yeah. Mr. Pulipeka Subramaniam.
Sir, very good afternoon.
You're muted, Pulipeka ji.
Yeah, and finally, I think Dr. Santra from Kazri, Jodhpur.
Sir, yeah, very good afternoon. I am Subramaniam Pulipaka, Chief CEO of National Solar Energy Federation of India. Thank you, Minister Sir, for gracing your presence in this event. We are very happy to have been working with the Indo-German Energy Forum to actually visit the Agri-PV sites across the country and develop a best practices report, sir. We are thankful for your support and coordination to this particular topic. Thank you very much.
Yeah, Dr. Santra from Kazri, Jodhpur.
Yeah, good afternoon, sir. Good afternoon to everybody. Myself, Priyabrat Santra, working as principal scientist in Indian Council of Agriculture Research at Central Erosion Research Institute, Jodhpur. And we are working in the agrivoltaics for the last 5 to 6 years. And we are also working different aspects of integration with the agrivoltaic system. So we have actually talk in this session. So later on we can discuss further.
Thank you, Dr. Santra. Yeah, I don't think the other speakers slated for tomorrow have joined, but anyway, they are all there on the agenda. Thank you very much. Now, may I request Dr. Tripathi to just say a few words as part of his address as guest of honor. Dr. Tripathi.
Thank you very much. Sir, I am very honored to speak before our Honorable Minister, Sri Bhagwanth Khuba ji, dear and respective organizer of this event, who have invited me for this, Mr. A.K. Dhankar ji, B. Anil Kumar ji, Patel Saab, Tobias Winter ji, and Pulipaka ji. Thank you very much. And sir, before starting, I would just like to mention that the solar energy right now in the country is really increasing exponentially from all over the places. Not only the photovoltaic power plants which are being set up in the country, but from the off-grid applications of various solar thermal based applications, solar PV based applications for meeting the daily requirement of our people across the country. Our country, we know that very soon we have already crossed, or we are just going to cross 100 gigawatt. This is one of the greatest occasion in the world where a country has crossed 100 gigawatt from the solar energy, from the renewable energy. That includes a major part of wind and solar in a big way. And with this space, we are very enthusiastic to reach our target, not to reach our target, but to overachieve our targets in a different way. Coming to the solar agro photovoltaic, this is one of the a new branch of the solar power generation. I would not call it a branch, but it's an add-on on the ongoing solar power plant which are being installed in the country, and this contributes towards the viability of a power plant also, and also to some extent there are many places where there is a land scarcity, or the land there is a discussion on the land whether the agricultural land to be used or not. So in this, if we have a combination of solar PV plants and the agro crops which are less in height, which are vegetables crop, which are the cash crops mainly. So this really gives a very good viability for the plant. In our institute, National Institute of Solar Energy, also we have tried to some extent. We have grown the ginger, we have grown some vegetables, we have grown some flowers between our 500 kilowatt plant which is installed here, and we have found a very good results. Now I think this is a time to bring this mechanism into the mainstream of the power plants which are being set up in the country. I think I would not take much time before the Honorable Minister, and would like to listen to you, sir, more. And tomorrow we have a session, then I will elaborate more on the subject. Thank you very much. I would like to stop over here. Thank you very much, sir.
Thank you, Dr. Tripathi ji, for those words about what you are doing nice, and generally about agro photovoltaics. I could see Mr. Sasha Klunker from Germany. If you could briefly introduce to the Honorable Minister.
Yes, hello, this is Sasha Krause-Tünker. Yeah, I'm very happy to join this conference, and to introduce you a little bit some topics on our vertical PV system. I think it's quite already known. So let's say some details on the system, but I think especially regarding the aspects of grid integration, vertical PV also has a lot of aspects which might be very interesting for the change to the renewable system and or renewable energy production. And I'm very happy to present it later to you.
Thank you, Mr. Sasha Klunker.
Thank
now
you.
I would request the Honorable Minister to deliver the inaugural address. The floor is yours, sir. Thank you very much.
हिंदी में चल जाता ना?
जी सर,
बिल्कुल चलेगा सर।
हाँ, इंडो जर्मन एनर्जी फोरम के ट्रेनिंग का इस इनाग्रल सेशन के लिए उपस्थित हुए AK दिनकर जी, मिस्टर अनिल कुमार जी, अपना ही नाइस के DG है अरुण त्रिपाठी जी, और डायरेक्टर CBIP मिस्टर GP पटेल जी, और जर्मनी के तुबाइस और सच्चा और मैक्समिलियन, और इस सेशन के अंदर जितने भी मान्यगण उपस्थित है, सभी को मेरा नमस्कार। पिछला दशक यानी 7 साल से भारत रिन्यूएबल एनर्जी, सोलर, विंड, बायोमास, हाइड्रो, इसमें हमने काफ़ी प्रोग्रेस विकास किया है। उस कारण आज हम लोग 2022 के अंदर जो 175 गीगावाट की जो हमारा लक्ष्य था, अभी हम ऑलरेडी हमारा जो त्रिपाठी जी ने बताया है कि नियरली 100 गीगावाट्स की हमारा कमीशन हो चुका है और 50 गीगावाट की इट इज़ इन अंडर द प्रोग्रेस और 25 गीगावाट की ऑलरेडी बिडिंग वगैरह हो चुका है। तो यानी भारत रिन्यूएबल एनर्जी के लिए काफ़ी उत्सुक है और हम लोग हमारा जो टारगेटेड है उस टारगेट को रीच करने के लिए हमारी गवर्नमेंट और देश के जनता उसको लगातार प्रयास करके हम लोग यशस्वी भी किया है। अभी हमको आने वाला समय पे हमारा लक्ष्य 430 से गीगावाट से ज़्यादा रिन्यूएबल एनर्जी में हमारा लक्ष्य है और उस लक्ष्य के ओर हम लोग भारत आत्मनिर्भर हो, इसी के लिए सोलार के अंदर भी हमने काफ़ी आत्मनिर्भर बनाने के लिए हमारा प्रयास भी है और आने वाले दिनों में उस लक्ष्य को हम पूरा भी कर सकेंगे। अभी जो आज का जो आप जो विषय ले आए हैं बहुत ही महत्वपूर्ण है। सोलार एनर्जी के लिए लैंड का अवेलेबिलिटी तो चाहिए, लेकिन कल्टीवेबल लैंड चाहिए क्या नॉन कल्टीवेबल लैंड चाहिए, इसको हम लोग आने वाले दिनों में फिर उसका बड़ा समस्या भारत के लिए नहीं है बल्कि सभी के लिए हो सकता है कि कल्टीवेबल लैंड को बचा के रखे ताकि उस देश के जनता को अन्न भी पूरा होना चाहिए। तो इसी के लिए जो नया नया टेक्नोलॉजी हमारा जो साइंटिस्ट है देश के अंदर और देश के बाहर भी, कि हमारा सोलर पैनल से एनर्जी भी उत्पाद हो और उसके साथ साथ में किसानी भी उसके साथ में काम चले। और हमारे त्रिपाठी जी ने भी बताया कि किसानी खेत में करने से भी अच्छा होगा, तो यानी ऊर्जा भी आएगी और किसान भी उसका काम चल जाएगा। तो इसी ढंग का नया नया टेक्नोलॉजी और नया नया इन्वेशंस जितना हो सका उतना जल्दी अगर लेके आने के प्रयास करे तो निश्चित रूप से विश्व के लिए एक बहुत बड़ा अनुकूल होगा। तो ये एक विशेष करके आपने जो सेशन है टेक्नोलॉजी के डेवलपमेंट के लिए और इनोवेशंस के लिए आपने बुलाया है, इस पर आज विश्व का ध्यान आकर्षित होना और उस पर निरंतर लक्ष्य दे करके काम करना बहुत ही आवश्यक है, ताकि आने वाले दिनों में जैसा जैसा हर देश का जनसंख्या बढ़ रहा है उसके हिसाब से कंजम्पशन ऑफ पावर भी बढ़ेगा और कंजम्पशन ऑफ फूड भी बढ़ेगा। तो ये दोनों को बैलेंस करने के लिए ऐसा नया टेक्नोलॉजी का बहुत ही आवश्यक और महत्वपूर्ण है। तो मैं पूर्ण विश्वास रखता हूँ कि IGF इस फोरम के माध्यम से इस सेशन में कुछ ना कुछ अच्छा आपका परिणाम लेकर के आएंगे। आज और कल दो तुम्हारा जो सेशन है निश्चित रूप से फूड भी सिक्योर होगा और पावर भी सिक्योर होगा। ये बैलेंसिंग आप कर पाएंगे, ये बिल्कुल भारत सरकार उम्मीद भी रखा है और विश्वास भी कर रहा है आपके ऊपर। तो इसी के लिए आज और कल के लिए जो भी आप दोनों सेशन के अंदर महत्वपूर्ण चर्चा होंगे, विज्ञान विषय पर भी चर्चा होंगे, एग्रीकल्चर साइंटिस्ट भी होंगे, उस पर भी विचार होंगे। ये सारे विचारों को आपको मेरा शुभकामना रहेगी और जो आपने लक्ष्य तय किया है वो लक्ष्य जल्द से जल्द सपना साकार हो, यही मेरा शुभकामनाओं के साथ में इस सेशन के अंदर आपने जो इनागरल स्पीच के लिए मुझे बुलाया है, आप सभी को मेरा धन्यवाद और अभिनंदन व्यक्त करते हुए मेरा 2 बात मैं समाप्त करता हूँ। धन्यवाद।
बहुत धन्यवाद मंत्री जी, थैंक यू वेरी मच सर। नाउ आई रिक्वेस्ट मिस्टर पटेल to propose a short vote of thanks. Mr. Patel.
Thank you, Anil ji. Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. Namaskar. I am Dr. G.P. Patel, Director CBIP. Sir, it's my pleasure and privilege to propose vote of thanks at the end of this important inaugural session on online training program on Agro PV plants and RE grid integration. This program has been organized by New Delhi Center of World Water Council, Central Board of Irrigation and Power, and Indo-German Energy Forum. We are thankful to Honorable Minister of State, Ministry of New and Renewable Energy, and Government of India, Sri Bhagwanth Khuba ji, for agreeing to our request and delivering in our guidance. Sir, your presence on the occasion and the address has set a tone for very useful future discussions. Sir, this program is in line with the Government of India initiative of security of water and security of electricity. We are also thankful to Dr. Arun Kumar Tripathi, Scientist G, MNRE, Government of India, and Director General, National Institute of Solar Energy, for acceding to our request to deliver keynote address, a guest of honor in this opening session. We are deeply thankful, sir. We are indebted to all the eminent speakers from India and abroad, especially Germany, for the excellent support to NDC, WWC, and CBIP in achieving its objective of dissemination of knowledge, even during current unusual situation due to COVID-19. Last but not the least, I would like to thank all the national and international organizations, especially from Bangladesh, for deputing participants for this important online program, and the individual participants as well. Thank you all once again, and look forward to the NCC technical session. Thank you. Dhanyavad. Jai Hind.
Thanks.
Thank you very much, Patel. So with this, we come to the end of the inaugural session, sir. We will start the technical session, and we will definitely share the recommendations of this two-day webinar with your office, and then we will take it forward from there. Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. Now we will start the technical session 1. First of all, a very warm welcome to all our distinguished speakers from Germany and from India, and also the participants. I mean, there is a big number, about 150, almost 140, 150 people have joined us from all over India and neighboring countries, including Bangladesh. We will start the technical session now so that we have enough time for interaction and question answers to our experts who are available today from Germany. So first, I would request Mr. Tobias Winter, Director of Indo-German Energy Forum Support Office, to make his presentation. Before that, I would like to briefly introduce Mr. Tobias Winter, a brief profile. He holds a degree in Business Administration of the Rhine-Westphalia Institute of Technology. During his career, Mr. Winter has gained professional experience in renewable energy and energy efficiency projects and corresponding legislation in Germany, India, Argentina, Uruguay, and Paraguay. As an expert in energy economics for 6 years, he was working in Latin America on behalf of GIZ, GmbH. From 2019 to 14, he was the director of the Competence Center in Renewable Energies for the German Chambers Network in Argentina, Paraguay, and Uruguay. Since 2015, he has been heading the support office, and he is quite a popular figure in the energy stakeholder map in India. Over to you, Mr. Winter.
Thank you very much, Anilji. Am I audible and presentation can be viewed?
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you very much for your kind introduction. Let me just introduce you a little bit more to the topic of co-location of agriculture and solar PV. Today, we are not speaking about PV pumps. Often, when we talk about agri-photovoltaics, people compare this to PV pumps, but it is not PV pumps. It is also not a PV rooftop. This is a beautiful PV rooftop here in a chicken farm in Karnataka. We are also not talking about greenhouses. Even though I must admit this greenhouse here is one of the largest, if not the largest in India, equipped with bifacial glass solar panels here by Jain Irrigation in Maharashtra. We are more talking about co-location of agriculture and solar in a way where agriculture, as you can see here, is practiced in between the solar arrays. And people are experimenting with the shade. As you can see here, there is some more sunlight going in between to see how good plants can actually grow. And if you really make it out, you can even see that this is a beautiful pilot here, 1 megawatt in Gujarat with drip irrigation in combination. Here is a beautiful side view. Mostly the structures would be put at a height where also a tractor could go below. In this case, it would be more in between. You see this is a similar plant here in Germany, 750 kilowatt, where the tractor can easily go in between. Most common worldwide are these systems here in Japan with an own policy on agrivoltaics. Here in combination with rice farming and a very simple structure, and then usually simple monofacial solar systems. The largest one here in China is 700 megawatt peak tracking system where they grow all seeds plant below. But at the end, it's all about the same. We can decide if we want to grow, for example, 100% aloo, potato, or if we take the land for solar. Or why not combining it and maybe even increasing the yield of the potatoes because they do not need that much direct sun, and generate maybe a little less solar electricity because we leave some more space so that the plants can grow properly. But still, we have increased efficiency by more than 80% of the land. Same here with wheat. This is real results. Max, I'm not sure if you're going to present this from Fraunhofer, where the wheat production actually went down a little bit, but at the end, 80 plus 80 is still 160% land use. And that this is working, Kasri has proven. I'm very delighted that Dr. Sandra is here with us today. This is the 105 kilowatt pilot here, also with drip irrigation. And as you can see, there are even growing plants below the solar panels. Some impressions here. This is the one Dr. Tripathi mentioned with flowers, also trying to even grow flowers below the solar arrays. But here from Kasri again, showing that even full shade cover of solar in India, because the sun is shining so heavily, that even in the full shade, these plants with drip irrigation were growing below solar. So technically, this has been proven also by the private sector, Jain Irrigation, since 2016, if I'm not mistaken. This banana pilot has been installed. They grown maize below. They had installed this monopile idea has been picked up by Diyarbakir Agriculture systems, combining cheaper solar panels with the glass solar panels. Very interesting Jain Irrigation here, experimenting a light in between, so you see it's not full cell solar panels. Same here in the Netherlands, where solar panels are being used that are not fully covered by the solar cells, as you can also see here in combination with Raspberry. Beautiful results. But at the end, simple systems like Junagadh Agricultural University has proven here and there, 7 kilowatt peak pilot. I think they did a lot of capsicum and tomato with amazing increases in the yield. And what you can see is simple solar panels, mono solar panels, just leaving space in between the solar panels. And here a beautiful side view where actually the structure is then being used to hold the tomato plants. So it's definitely possible. One of the bigger plants, Cochin Airport, most of you must have heard of. This is pure interspace, so not below the solar panels, but in between. latest solar plant here in Maharashtra by Grow Solar. They have not started yet. I think Dr. Santra, if I'm correct, also advised Kasri advised on how to implement such a large-scale commercial agri-photovoltaics power plant. And what you can really see is they on purpose left a lot of space in between the rows. So now grazing is happening of sheep, but in the future it is foreseen to install maybe drip irrigation systems and then definitely do agriculture. And as you can see, the space is sufficient to even go through with heavy machinery. This is another 1 megawatt plant already in use, supplying power to, I think, the 6 surrounding villages, if I'm not mistaken. This is the Amrol plant, which you have seen in the very beginning, one of the first larger agri-photovoltaics plants in India. A similar design here in Vastan, also in Gujarat, where you can actually see that agriculture is happening. You see here the lines of where the vegetables are being grown. They decided to put the structure a little higher, of up to, I think, 2.5 meters. But still, most convenient is to just do manual harvesting. So if we would go with heavy machinery underneath, the structure might need to be elevated. In Gujarat, in another site by GSECL, they have actually put the structure higher with also manual tilting. But as you can see, it's maybe not the most practical approach because you need so much people to actually change the tilt of the of these sets of around 16 solar panels here. And another issue which comes with higher structures is the cleaning. No? So one thing is the water itself when it falls down from the edges of the solar panel and maybe hurting the plants. And another one is how to actually reach. In the Abalone plant, I think also 2016, they have started, they're using the cleaning water dripping down actually to irrigate the plants. That's quite an elegant solution. But yes, one has to see that the falling drips are not actually damaging the plant. And mostly, and that we see here, usually on the higher side of the photovoltaic system, the agriculture is being practiced, and on the lower side, there is hardly any agriculture because of the drips of the cleaning hurting the plants. Same here in Cochin Airport. You see on the higher side, the vegetables are being placed. On the lower side, walking way is being left. Kasri, very elegant solution, actually said, why don't we put a rain gutter system and then collect the water in a big, large tank, as you can see here. Very impressive that that has been actually implemented. But again, if we are talking about a high height, no, how to install a rain gutter system, especially with the tilting system, that is a challenge. And Oak Ridge Energy with the Krishi Vigyan Kendra, they have actually done this. They said, okay, let's don't use a tilting system. Let's use a fixed angle tilt. And let's install a rain gutter system and collect the rainwater. This is one of the newest plants in India, commissioned just a couple of weeks ago, actually. And we are pretty much looking forward to the results. But still, cleaning requires at a higher height that maybe these kind of pots or stills or ladders are being used. No, so one really needs to define pre-marked zones where when cleaning is happening, the farmer is not being annoyed by the cleaning or solar activity, as this was the case at this site here, where they were using this kind of stand, sometimes poking the vegetables. This is not a plan from India, but maybe an insight from the future and what we are going to see in India. Single axis tracking is already common in India, nothing new. advantage, solar panels can be put into horizontal mode, and then these autonomous cleaning robots, which are already assembled in India, I think in Hyderabad, I'm not too sure, by, for example, the company Ecopia. And then these robots can just like run back and forth, and then when the solar panel is tilting again, they get charged by the solar itself. Here you see this kind of system in action, and they can cross solar arrays through these bridges. So that might be a solution for a higher height. Again, mono axis tracking, single axis tracking is already practiced here by Mahindra Sustain, a 400 kilowatt peak where they grow lemongrass. This is not in combination with dry cleaning yet, but yeah, maybe one of the future test sites. Less issues with cleaning, and therefore I'm very delighted that Mr. Tönker is here with us today, would be the use of vertical PV. Here, a photo from Germany where these solar panels are mounted vertically, lesser cleaning issues at a specific height, so that the grass is not maybe shading the solar panels. Same can be applied just for fencing, as one can see here together with these beautiful cows. And as Mr. Tönker said, the advantage, and we will hear more about it in the upcoming presentations, is that the solar radiation is hitting these solar panels in the early morning and in the evening, so that before usual common solar kicks in, we actually get a smooth generation by solar throughout the day. And this is why we are so fascinated and humbled, Dr. Tripathi ji, DG NICE, that you have taken up this idea, and that NICE is actually experimenting with different setups of vertical PV already in Delhi, and with bifacial solar panels already being manufactured in India. We believe it's just a question of weeks or months till we see first of these plants then actually coming up. And yeah, with this I will close, and also thank the National Solar Energy Federation of India, who had made this publication possible, which lists all the Agri PV plans which I have shown. And yeah, you can just download it, get in touch with Mr. Pulipaka. There's also this map where you can just click on the link and then get to Google Maps and get more information on each map. And yeah, with this photo, which is a mixture of a solar power plant, Agri PV plant in Germany, and Indian agriculture. I would like to close, like vision of the view of the future. And yeah, with this, thank you very much, and pretty much looking forward to the presentations of upcoming speakers. Any questions, please get in touch with my colleague, Ms. Kuller, who is in charge of agrivoltaic projects in the Indo-German Energy Forum, or Mr. Pulipaka, CEO, NSEFI, who will speak after me. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Mr. Tobias Winter. That was a very comprehensive presentation. Yeah. We can take 2 or 3 questions from the audience, from the participants. If there are, I can see some hands raised. If there are any questions to Mr. Tobias Winter, you could shoot it now, or you could also type in the chat your queries or questions. I can see 2 hands. In case you want to speak, we will help you in unmuting. I would request the organizer CBIP to unmute the.
All are unmuted, sir, from our side. They can unmute themselves. Yes, sir.
Okay, no, there are 2 hands up. I mean, I don't know whether they want to ask a question to
Good
Mr.
afternoon. Good afternoon, sir.
Yeah. Yeah, good
Sir,
afternoon.
I belong to Renewable Energy Cell, Bhubaneswar, Odisha. I represent Gridco Limited.
Yes.
Sir,
How are you? How are you, Sasmita? Yeah.
Sir, I'm really fine, sir. How are you, sir? Arun, sir, how are you?
Good.
Thank you, sir. Thank you so much. Sir, just would like to know because this is a new concept which is really we want to adopt, because this is a win-win situation for both the generator and also the farmer, or the landowner, I can say. So is this till now, whatever is in a small scale, whatever has been established so far, is it a like a PPP kind of thing, or if not a PPP kind of partners, if this public-private partnership can be established because the land belongs to someone, the technology belongs to some other persons. So to make it more viable and commercially successful, this agro PV, and in future to implement it in a large scale, how this partnership is going to be done to be commercially successful. So thank you, sir.
Yeah, maybe let me just give a quick first answer, and then maybe Mr. Pulipakaji, who has worked on the topic in India a lot, can also give some remarks on this question. But yeah, definitely what is so different about agri-photovoltaics is that the farmer has to be thought of. And the farmer has not to be thought of at the end when the engineers of the solar project have finalized the solar plant design. The farmer has to be thought of from the very beginning. And that also means land rights and so on, as you have mentioned, Madam. So it's a very, very complex topic. But yes, there is already plans like the one by Oak Ridge, where financing, for example, if I'm not mistaken, had been obtained from IREDA. And with the IREDA rooftop credit line, it was possible to finance properly this plant. And in Delhi NCR, you have, for example, special policy where group metering is possible, so that different parties can actually have a purchase agreement from the solar plant. So I think 3 different parties in this case are buying the electricity at a very attractive rate from this solar plant, and the rest they complement from the grid. And in terms of develop PPP or other private-public partnerships, I think German Development Corporation, but also other development agencies are actually open. If I'm not mistaken, KfW Development Bank, for example, if a public discom is willing to take it up and is willing to really include the farmer and think of the farmer first, financing from the German side may be available. Yeah, even with a grant component, as you have indirectly mentioned, to make it commercially viable. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. We are really obliged for your wonderful feedback and really thoroughly enjoyed your presentation on this very new topic. Just would like to mention that if it is a pilot project of some kilowatts, this is fine. But if you want to adopt it in a larger scale, like megawatt size, then it will compete with the other commercial tariff, solar tariffs. So for a discom, like for a discom perspective, it will be difficult for us to take power on such a high tariff. So that was my query. So thank you so much, sir, for your valuable inputs.
Correct. Again, KfW would be interested, for example, in financing multi-megawatt projects, so commercial large-scale projects. And yeah, viability gap funding can be made available if the plant design and the stakeholders and the setting fits into the requirements, for example. And I'm sure there is also now other development banks taking the issue up, especially since the topic now is being discussed also in the International Renewable Energy Agency, IRENA, and in the FAO. So we are looking pretty much forward now having this topic on United Nations level being discussed, with solar prices coming down and down continuously, that the viability of agro-photovoltaics economically, we are pretty much close, and financing will be made available for large-scale commercial projects.
Yeah,
Thank you so much, sir.
Yeah, for those responses. There are two questions in the chat. If PV panels are elevated, then mechanically they should also be more firm or not. I don't know, Tobias, you want to take this question? I mean, if the panels are elevated, then mechanically should they be more firm or something like that? I mean, this is what the questioner has asked.
I think that Dr. Sandra, Max, anyone, Mr. Tülker can answer, but yes, we do wind load tests before these kind of things happen. And this can be even wind tunnel tests or virtual tests where the wind load is being checked. And I think especially with the vertical solar panels, Mr. Tülker, you have actually the main issue with the wind. As long as the solar panel is vertical, wind can maybe flow through, yeah. But if we talk about horizontal, as soon as it is vertical, the full wind load is actually getting against the so-called solar fans. And if I'm not mistaken, you actually, in the edges of the solar farm, you actually make it more profound, the foundations, so that the higher wind load, which is pressing against the solar fans, can be taken off. I don't know if this is the case, but maybe you can clarify on this.
Thank you, Tobias. I mean, yeah.
Nothing to add from my side, Tobias. It's everything perfectly described, I think. Indeed, the wind load is the most challenging question for vertical PV. But as you already described, that's the way how we handle it, with more stable profiles in the outer parts to catch the wind load, since in the inner part of the field, the wind speed decreases since it's broken on the outer parts. Yeah.
Yeah, thank you, Sasha, for that. Yeah. If there are no more questions, then can we move to the next presenter? What we could also do is we can have a quick question and answer session towards the end. I mean, if some more questions are left, or you can post it in the chat, and then we will take it up and get addressed by our distinguished speakers. Yeah. So we will move on. Okay, we will move to the next presentation by Mr. Sasha Kraus-Tunker. A brief introduction about Mr. Sasha Tunker. He is the shareholder and Chief Financial Officer of Next to Sun GmbH and Chief Sales Officer of Next to Sun Mounting Systems GmbH. This is a company incorporated in Germany. Before he joined Next to Sun, he worked as a consultant and interim manager for several years with a focus on finance. So here is the finance person and also blending that with the technology, IT and company transitions. He came to Next to Sun since he wanted to use his professional experience to develop startups and young companies with sustainable business ideas. So the floor is yours, Mr. Sasha.
Thanks a lot for the very nice introduction. I think you can hear me now. Yeah. Yeah, great. So yeah, I'm very glad to be here and to present some topics on our system. I would share some slides I've prepared. Just give me a second. Okay. So now you see my presentation, right?
Yes.
Okay, great. Okay, perfect. So yeah, what I want to present is, of course, vertical bifacial technology we already discussed by Next to Sun. Yeah, Tobias already had some nice pictures from some of our plants. I think the technology is yeah, quite different from what we saw on the other pictures. Especially it's the vertical mounting we see here. And I think the advantage from the agricultural perspective is quite obvious. Yeah, we see that we have a lot of space in between the rows for agricultural use. We really are able to use heavy machinery. In this case, it's I think 260 horsepower tractor from Claas, which was working in between. Thanks to GPS steering, it was also it's also possible to use more or less, or let's say more than 90% of the ground in between. Yeah, since we only need very little space on the sides. And what we also see here, I think, is that the topics Tobias addressed, we have nearly no, or we have no issues with dripping water from the panels down to the crops, since they are in between. Yeah, we have a very little superstructure, less than 1%, and only directly below this superstructure we would have this dripping water. We would not have any issues with water falling on the crops we wanted to harvest there. And indeed, another aspect Tobias also addressed is that we have, of course, maximized self-cleaning from the module, since simply it's vertical. Yeah, all the water runs down at the module whenever it rains and cleans the modules. We have no data from India so far. In Europe, we didn't do any cleaning of the modules, which is, of course, an advantage. We need to see how this works in India. Yeah. So this is not again a short overview over the structure. Yeah, we have the panel rows. We have just seen. This is a look. We are looking here on a plant from south, where we have this east-west orientation, which make a lot of sense. We will see that in later charts. We have these parallel solar panel rows with the frame, which is ramped into the ground, and in the middle, also space left for agricultural management. The size between the rows can be, with this with this system we saw there with 2 panel rows, it makes a lot of sense to be around 10 to 12 meters. And what we see is, let's say, from 10, if we have a row spacing of 10 meters, we can use around 9 meters for agricultural purposes. And the rest can be used for establishing flower stripes or old grass stripes or things like that. Also for ecological enhancement purposes, which indeed is also quite favorable. That's some aspects maybe we sometimes already presented at different points, and today I would like to focus on the energy perspective. Here one of our plants where we see, this is from Germany. We see this is 4 megawatts plant, around 14 hectares. In this case, it's the grassland use. And we see that this is also possible and even economically possible in large scale. What is interesting, especially on this on the question regarding the grid integration, I think, is that on the one hand, vertical PV is quite flexible. The difference, if we mount it with east-west orientation or let's say south-north, the difference in production is quite low. Of course, it depends on the backside efficiency of the modules, but there is some optimum which is more oriented to east-west, but even south orientation vertical, depending on the location, but does not perform much worse. So there are several degrees of freedom to also, on the one hand, built an interesting production profile, since the production profile over the day differs very much regarding the orientation. And on the other hand, we of course can adapt to the agricultural use. Yeah, this is of course for the double use also quite important, to have the possibility to follow, let's say, the how the landscape is oriented and how it could be used for agricultural purposes. What I think is also quite interesting, especially regarding the grid integration, and is of course the production profile. Yeah, and what we see here is a comparison of a conventional south-oriented plant compared with a vertical east-west orientation, and I think the result is quite interesting. It's more or less complementary. Yeah, what we see, we have a very early in the morning, we already have a strong PV production, and also in the later evening, and with only very low, it's around 25% of the production at noon, simply due to indirect irrigation. And for Germany, this is also very interesting, since it also is correlating with prices we see on the electricity market. In Germany, we already have negative prices at noon quite often in summertime due to a huge amount of conventional PV in the grid. And we see higher prices in the morning and evening hours. And this is, of course, also, on the one hand, the price is, of course, simply an indicator for the need of electricity. And we see that this is electricity produced in the morning and evening hours is more favorable than the one at noon. And on the other hand, of course, it's also an economic aspect, which helps us to realize such plants, since we simply earn higher prices with this production profile. On the other hand, the south orientation is also not that uninteresting, since there, of course, we have a production profile which is nearer to the one we see from conventional plants. But what we see is a shift from the summertime to the winter times. Yeah, so vertical PV already, of course, also dependent from where we install it, but this is, I think, also for some place in Germany. We see that we shift production from the summertime to the winter time, when the sun is quite low, and we have much better production and much better performance compared to a conventional plant, while in summertime the production of the conventional plant is higher. Yeah, and this might also be interesting, simply to have some shifting of PV production into times where the PV production is not that high today. So this is maybe an also quite interesting aspect about vertical PV and grid integration. And the third point I wanted to show is, of course, the combination of both, which also makes a lot of sense. On the one hand, with a conventional, or simply of different orientations of vertical plants. Since then, we can combine both, and especially get along with lower infrastructure compared to what we need for, let's say, vertical with one orientation, or a conventional on a standalone basis. Yeah? So in this point, we have, for example, here some combination of a vertical east-west and a conventional plant. In this example, with let's say a 63 megawatts transformer, which would normally work for around 80 megawatts of south-oriented PV or also only east-west oriented vertical PV. But if we take a combination of both, we can use this transformer for more than 100 megawatt, since we have we spread the production over the day, and we can use the capacity and the infrastructure simply more efficient, which is also, I think, quite interesting possibility this type of installation offers. Yeah, that was a short overview over these aspects. I'm quite happy if we can discuss topics you're interested in, and thanks for your attention.
Yeah, thank you, Sasha Tulkar. Yeah. Now, if there are some questions in the chat.
Okay.
Which type of solar panel was used in verticals? CUF achieved in this project? I don't know whether this was for previous winter or for you. I'm not too sure.
I think I can answer. Indeed, the technology aspect, of course, is quite important. On one hand, it's, I think, clear that we need glass modules, bifacials, which work on both sides. That's the idea. But indeed, it's also a question of cell technology and also module technology. We use, for example, frameless modules to reduce the shadowing from the frame to the modules in this type of installation. And if we're talking about the cells, of course, it's quite important to really have a huge or a high backside efficiency. What we normally see from PERC modules is maybe 60% on the backside, efficiency on the backside, which means that if you choose the east-west orientation, both sides of the panel get the same amount of irradiation, more or less. So if we only have 60% backside efficiency, we lose half the day, 40% efficiency, which means in the end, we lose about 20% production over the day. And in this case, it was used N-type technology from Jollywood, which is mid 80%. This is an N-type module, which let's say 85% backside efficiency, which is shown much better than, for example, PERC. And we're looking forward for heterojunction technology, which gives even more backside efficiency, let's say higher than 90%, which of course fits very well for this type of installation.
Yeah, thank you. We have two more questions in the chat. There's a question from the National Load Dispatch Center, Mr. Porwal. He asked, keeping the panel position as vertical or in horizontal, wouldn't it affect the efficiency of the panel as MPPT would be lower?
I don't know if I got the question right. Sorry.
Mr. Porwal, you want to unmute yourself and ask the question? Mr. Prabhankar Porwal?
Yes, can you hear me, sir?
Yeah, sure. Go ahead.
Normally, the solar panel we are putting at a particular angle in order to maintain the proper irradiation level. But whenever we keep it total flat or in a vertical position, how is the irradiation leverage ensured in this case? Because in this case, the maximum power tracking point would be lower.
I'm not really sure if I got it right. So you think about some tracking system, or what was your question?
I'm just asking whether the irradiation level that is achieved in case of a tilted angle case or in a vertical angle case will be similar or it will be lower in case of a vertical configuration?
Sasha, I mean, like maybe you can show the generation profile again, no? So the fascinating thing about vertical is that yes, you generate maybe a little bit less on one side because you're not using the optimum from noon or from 12 o'clock, 1 o'clock, 2 o'clock. But what you do is you use the sun twice. You use it in the morning and you use it in the evening. So yes, the efficiency goes a little down. You generate a little less on one side, but because you generate on two sides, in some, you're generating actually often more than with horizontal. And that is something really, mind-blowing. Yeah, the difficult to imagine in the very beginning, but that's why we are so thankful that NICE has taken up the pilot, and Dr. Tripathi ji will speak about it. What are the first results of actually vertically mounted bifacial two-sided solar panels?
Yeah, as I already said, it depends on especially the location and especially on the backside efficiency. Yeah, what you're generating in relation to a conventional south-oriented one. But indeed, the overall production is on a comparable level and could also be higher. That's definitely the point.
Okay. May I add something, Tunke? And
yeah,
actually, whatever he wants to know that the irradiation level received on a surface of the solar panel, whenever it is in a tilted position, it is getting the optimum amount of solar irradiation. And based on the azimuth angle and zenith angle of sun, the tilting angle actually is fixed. And for India, if you install this system in Cochin, in southern India, the tilting angle will be much more as per the latitude. And if you install in Kashmir, the tilting angle will be somewhat high. Because on that tilting angle, we are assuming that maximum amount of solar radiation will be received on that tilted surface. But the question is, in the vertical orientation of this PV panel, whether the similar amount of irradiation level is received on a surface, because this is his question. And the answer is that whenever you keeping it in a vertical, in the morning time, the irradiation received on the solar panel will be higher than the conventional tilting position. And also in the afternoon time, the irradiation received will be higher than the conventional position. So if you add these two things, the total day irradiation received will be much or less similar or sometime maybe higher. So that is the actually may I understand in this way the bifacial advantage.
Thank you, sir. Thank you.
Yeah.
Okay.
Thanks.
Yeah. The next question is, I mean, can we make use of refraction of sun rays on bifacial solar panels to produce more power during noon session?
Yeah, I think we already answered also, or not? Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. All right. Thank you. Okay. Yeah. Thank you very much, Mr. Tunkar. And if there are any more questions in the chat, we will definitely come back to you on that. Thank you. Thank you for that wonderful presentation.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. So we'll move to the third presentation of the day. This is by Dr. Priyabrata Santra from Kazri. Just a brief profile of Dr. Santra. He is the principal scientist in the Department of Soil Physics, Soil and Water Conservation, working with ICAR Kazri since 2003. He has his master's in agriculture physics from the Indian Agriculture Research Institute, Pusa, New Delhi, and a PhD in soil physics hydrology from IIT Kharagpur. He has received several awards, and then he has been part of several programs and projects of the Department of Science and Technology, Government of India. He has also received support for his research from other funding agencies. He has participated in the 21st World Congress on Soil Science held in Rio de Janeiro, In 2018, his major research areas are digital soil mapping, solar energy application in agriculture, which is what we are talking today, assessment and modification of water balance components in field, soil, water flow, modeling, etc. He has published 64 research papers in reputed international and national journals. The floor is yours, Dr. Santra.
Thank you, Anilji, for nice introduction. Am I audible?
Yes, sir, you are. Yeah.
And my slides are visible?
Yes.
Okay, thank you. So today, this is the third presentation of this session, and actually, Mr. Tobias Winter and Mr. Tunker, we are already introduced the Agri photovoltaic systems in this session, and for the last 2 or 3 years, we together trying to make this system popular in different platforms. And I think both these other 3 speakers will agree with me that we did a lot of presentations together in a single dais for the last so many presentations. So this is actually, we know everything of our presentations, as I can say. That's why I was clear to give an answer to the bifacial system and the irradiation level received on the solar PV system. Anyway, today I will talk about this agrivoltaic system, whatever we have developed at our institutes, and the project was started in 2016, and the project was installed in 2017, and then on we are working on the system, and it is a very nice to work in this system because everything is integrated in this system, and we can say that in our institute we are working together in a team. In my institute, scientists from 32 disciplines are working together. So this is an example that how this integrated system works in an farming production system. We have scientists from renewable energy background. We have scientists from agriculture background also. We have scientists from plant physiology background, and we have scientists from livestock background also. So every scientist trying to give some ideas or give some give new innovative suggestions to integrate with this system, because this has a large scope for every subject and every sphere there is a scope. Anyway, I will go to the system hypothesis first. Why this agrivoltaic system is required? Why the solar PV system or solar PV functionaries, which is conventionally working, is different from this system? I am missing my screen.
We still see the first slide, I think.
But I am seeing the screen of Max. How it has happened, I do not know. I am stopping my sharing and again sharing my presentation. Okay. So is it visible now?
Yes, sir. It's visible, sir. Sir,
so agrivoltaic system. Why this term has been coined? Because we know agriculture is going side by side and photovoltaic generation is a totally different system. But what is the need for integration of these two systems together in agrivoltaic system? Because we are working in a dryland agriculture system or the rain-fed agriculture system, where there are so many risks due to climate change. For example, sometimes if the rainfall event is not occurred, then there is a risk in the agricultural production system. So farmers of this region are quite fed up due to this risk factor in the agriculture production system. On the other hand, the solar radiation availability is plenty in this region. In every drylands, it is the situation. So there is a large scope of photovoltaic based electricity generation using the available solar energy. But the photosynthesis process, which converts the solar energy through agriculture into food, actually it is an efficiency of 3 to 4%. Everybody knows it, that photosynthesis efficiency is 3 to 4%. But on the same land, if you install the photovoltaic modules, the efficiency of the photovoltaic process is 12 to 15%. So our main common resource is sun, and from this sun we can harness food and we can harness energy. A efficiency is 3 to 4% and another efficiency is 12 to 15%. Obviously, the farmers will prefer the photovoltaic process to use their land. But if this trend continues, then agriculture will be totally hampered in this region, because there are so many risk factors associated with the agriculture production system. But to meet the future food and energy requirement, we have to integrate these two things together. That's why this agrivoltaic concept is coming, and it is more relevant in the dry lands of this world, wherever production potential due to climate change, due to weather condition is a challenging task. So in those situations, again water is coming as a crucial role, because in tropical countries, cleaning of PV module is a requisite phenomena, or it should be done to get an optimum generation for the PV plant. But in a dry region, where to get the water to clean the PV panel? There are a lot of conflicts between the groundwater department and the solar PV functionaries, and sometimes the groundwater department denies to give water or allocate water to the solar PV plant functionaries just for cleaning the PV module. There are so many other purposes for which water is to be supplied. For example, drinking purpose is the first priority of this region. Then domestic need, then agriculture purpose, then only your cleaning priority will come. So the PV plant functionaries are in a difficult position to how to clean this panel. So if we harvest water from the solar PV panel, then use and recycle it in the cleaning of this PV operation, then it will be a self-sustaining PV generation system in the drylands. So these are the main concepts by which agrivoltaic system has been developed in Kajri, Jodhpur 5 or 6 years back. And before installation of this system, we actually analyzed the solar resources available in the country and also available in Jodhpur, Western Rajasthan. For example, this is the solar atlas prepared by National Institute of Solar Energy, and from this map we can see the red colored portion, the irradiation availability is around greater than 5.6 kilowatt hour per meter square per day. So this is the region where solar energy is available in plenty. Rajasthan, Gujarat, and whole this part, western part, southwestern part, you can say, and also in Leh and Ladakh, these portions where this availability of the solar radiation is plenty. Okay, and if you see the monthly variation during the summer months, obviously this we are living in the northern hemisphere. So during summer months, the irradiation availability is much higher. Whether in winter months, irradiation availability is somewhat low. But one can say that whether we can get the maximum production or maximum generation during summer months, it is not so simple, because the solar PV efficiency also depends on the temperature of the PV panel. And I personally monitored the temperature profile of the solar PV module during the summer months, and you cannot believe we recorded temperature about 56 to 60 degrees centigrade of the solar PV module during the hot summer months in the arid region. So at those high temperature, the efficiency of the solar panel is obviously reduced. So again, high temperature, high solar radiation is not always beneficial to generate the optimum amount of solar energy. So here comes, can we make some agricultural growth below the panel or surrounding the panel? Can we modify the microclimate so that the panel temperature will be reduced to some extent, maybe from 50 56 degrees centigrade to 40 degrees centigrade or 45 degrees centigrade. So this is another hypothesis that growing up crops surrounding the PV modules, whether it can modify the microclimate. And if modification of microclimate has been done, then obviously the PV generation, it will silently affect the PV generation. So this is the main concept. And this concept was actually started in Germany. And Govt termed this concept most probably in 1982. And later on, Dupraj and followed by Maru, they have developed this agrivoltaic concept in France. Then also in Germany, these are the in Hegelbach. This is the solar agri PV plant. But all these plants are in a high structure, as already shown by my previous presentation by Mr. Tobias Winter and also by Mr. Tunker, that all these PV modules installation in the Agro PV system in European condition, it is in a high mounting structure. And in this high mounting structure, they actually, the thinking was that in the high mounting structure, the cleaning operations of the dust deposited on the panel may be a big issue, but it is not so much a common phenomena in European condition. But it is so much common phenomena in drylands of the Indian condition. Here the wind erosion is a major land degradation process, and there are so many dust load during the hot summer months, and it creates a lot of dust coverings on the solar PV panels. So if we keep the mounting structure quite high, there is a large difficulty in cleaning of the PV module. As already shown by one of the slides by Mr. Winter, that one stand is being used to stand on that structure, then only cleaning operations can be done. And you can note down that during the summer months, at least once a week, cleaning is very, very essential. So because of this drawback, we designed a different concepts of the agrivoltaic system, that it should be as close as ground, only 50 centimeter ground clearance I have given. Then we have actually designed the three Agri PV designs. One is the single row design, another is the double row design, and third one is the triple row design. So in the triple row design, since there are three rows of PV modules in the array, obviously the interspace areas will be higher because of the shade created by this PV module will be longer in distances. And this is the top view design of the PV installation. So it is the single row, it is the double row, it is the triple row. And in the double row, the top row of this array is with the 60% PV density, whereas in the triple row, the top row is with the 60% PV density. And this design has been made keeping in mind the requirement of photosynthetically active radiation, which is very, very essential component for agriculture production system to sustain. If we fully cover the solar PV modules with the solar PV modules, then the availability of the PAR will be less, and then it will obviously affect the agriculture production system. So there has to be some compromise made between the two systems to make this integration a successful system. Otherwise, if we keep that we will get the maximum income from the solar PV generation, and if we fully cover the solar PV modules in the array, then it is not possible to get that amount of income from the agricultural production system. So that compromise has to be made between this solar PV and the agricultural part. And this is the layout design of my experimental field. So this is block 1 with the single row PV array design. This is the double row PV design, and this is the triple row. And you can see here, there are 6 rows of the single row PV module, whereas there are 3 rows of the double row PV module, and there are only 2 rows for the triple row PV module. And for all these 3 blocks, the PV capacity is same, 35 kilowatt. The peak kilowatt is 35 kilowatt. The block size is also same, 32 meter by 32 meter for each one. So then we can make a comparison that which design is best, and both in terms of agriculture and in terms of the PV generation. So that thing we calculated in the last of the experiment. So this is the field view of different crops we tested. And for selection of crops, we made some certain criteria. Since we have kept the design very close to the ground, just for easing in the cleaning operation, the crop height should not be much more higher. So we have steered the crops which are less than 50 centimeters in height during its peak production stage. Then the water requirement of this crop should also be very much low. It should not be the high water requiring crop, because we have to sustain this system in a dryland agriculture. And third one, that it should cover the surface condition as much as possible. So these are the three criteria we made, and we selected different crops whichever is conventionally grown in the arid region of the country, and we got some interesting results. During the Kharif season, which is generally the monsoon season cultivation, or during the July to October, we can say this Kharif crops, growth and yield of Vigna radiator, that means mung bean, was not affected by the shade of the PV module, whereas rest two are affected. These two are cluster bean and the chickpea. In Rabi crops, the Plantago ovata and Cuminum cyminum are significantly affected, means isabgol and cumin. These are significantly affected by the shade of the PV module. And among the medicinal crops, which should be in the covered condition throughout the day, for example, Cassia angustifolia, the sonamukhi, which is a very common medicinal crops and giving some cash value to the farmers, because all the Kayamchur is prepared from these leaves of this plant, so it has a big industry in the surrounding region. So this is a very economic medicinal crop. And second is the aloe vera. This aloe vera crop is also very much popular in this region, and so many aloe vera based commercial industries are available, where leaves are taken from the farmer's field and they are processing it to produce different types of aloe vera cosmetic products. And also the PV panel below this PV panel, the spinach crop, then amaranthus, all these leafy vegetables which do not produce the grain or fruit, we are using for the below panel growth. Why it is chosen for below panel? Because the availability of the PAR below the PV module will be less, and for these crops, they do not need to relocate the photosynthesis from leaf to grain. And if this thing is happening, then automatically shade has a big role on those plants. So that's why the leafy vegetables will grow much more better in the below PV module situation rather than the interspace situation. And we have also recorded, as you can see here, the intermittent shade zone, then fully open zone and below PV zone. The intermittent shade zone, there is a lot of effect of the shade on the crop yield of the interspace crop. For example, there are 10 to 15% decrease in this intermittent shade zone. As already shown in different pictures by Mr. Tobias Winter, that shade has a great role on the interspace crop. Then another interesting features of our agrivoltaic plants is the collection of the rainwater from the top of the PV module. And I hope this is the first design we have made to collect the drop of rainwater. Actually, this innovation came after a lot of struggle to get water to clean the PV module. Even in my farm, there are no free available water to clean the PV module. First, we tried with a bucket of water and cleaning the PV module with the mopper. Then it was not successful because it is creating a lot of scratches on the glasses of the PV module. So it will affect ultimately affect the efficiency of this PV module. Then we thought, because simultaneously we are working on the hydrological behavior of the landscape features in the arid system, and we are very much in a difficult position to get runoff water from the land, because here the soil is sandy in nature, the infiltration of the rainwater to the soil is very high. So obviously after a rainfall event, there is very little runoff generation from the land is there. Then we thought that the solar PV module is totally imperviable surface. So whatever rainwater will drop on the solar PV module, we can collect every drop of water. So why not harvest this water? But the cost of installation of this water collection system will be much higher. But I know this the value of water in the ADDP system. If we harvest 1 lakh liter of water in a single year with an annual rainfall of 300 mm, then the price of that water is much more higher than the water extracted from the groundwater, because we know the pumping system, and if we can calculate that 1,000 liter, if you want to draw water, it will cost around 100 rupees. So this cost of water, and we calculated the harvested rainwater from the top of the PV module, it is very negligible. So we recommend that every solar PV functionaries in the region should have a water harvesting system, either for meeting the different water demand in this region, either maybe domestic purpose or for drinking purpose or for cleaning of the PV module. Any purpose you can use, but you have to harvest it in this region to make it a sustainable one. So these are some field photographs of the Agri PV system, growing of different crops and different aspects of the design. This rainwater harvesting system, then total cover crops, and the importance of these cover crops. Because in the winter season there is not so much problem of the dust erosion, but whenever the hot summer season is coming, specifically during April month to August and September month, the wind velocity is around 25 to 30 km per hour, and during those periods these loose sandy soils is generally blown away quickly, and this erosion actually creates a lot of dust load on the top of the PV module. So if we maintain a cover crop in interspace of this PV module, whether it is giving your some economical yield or not, forget about that. It at least control the wind erosion, and if the wind erosion is controlled, then obviously the dust load on the PV panel will be reduced. Then the water requirement to clean the PV module will be reduced, and your manual labor cost will also be reduced. So it has a very big role to cover the surface of the interspace area of a conventional solar PV plant functionaries. And we give so many consultancy services to different solar PV functionaries to avoid the aeolian hazards of the arid region. And we took a big consultancy of the NTPC solar power plant of 512 megawatt capacity in the Badla in the Rajasthan solar park. So this is the biggest advantage of integration of all these systems together in a agrivoltaic system. So these are the another photographs which are already shown in the previous presentation also. These are some capacity building program of this Agri PV system, and these are some operations of even the tractors can operate for plowing operations and agricultural operations in the agrivoltaic system, and these are some common crops grown in the agrivoltaic system. Then based on this experiment for two or 3 years, what we have found, because we have tested the single row design, double row design and triple row design, and we have collected the data from the crop yield also and also from the PV generation. And as we kept the block size of all these 3 blocks is same, and the PV installation capacity is also same, so there is a lot of comparison between these 3 modules or 3 designs, and we found that double row model is the best model, with first row with the full density and second row with the 60% PV density. So this is the design we made, and this is the recommended crops for the interspace area. Kharif season Mukbin, Rabi season Isibgul, because it is a very good cash crop in the region, and below PV area some leafy vegetables can be grown like spinach and amaranthus. Apart from these crops, we are also trying some more economic crops. For example, strawberry, whether we can grow, because it is a vine in nature and it can grow in the interspace area and also in the PV, below PV module area. So this is our future endeavor, that whether much more cash crops we can grow. Then another interesting feature of this agrivoltaic system, most often we do not consider it, but I think it should be considered whenever agrivoltaic design has to be made in any location. The availability of the daily light integral at the interspace area on the ground surface. What is the daily light integral, and it is measured through photosynthetic photon flux density. Everybody knows that the radiation available on the ground surface, the 400 to 700 nanometer radiation is already only used for photosynthesis purpose. And there are two main regions, one is blue region, one is red region, where the photosynthesis 1 and photosynthesis 2 is occurring. If the light availability to the ground surface is less, then we cannot integrate the agriculture component in the solar PV plant. So in conventional solar plant, just for going addition of agricultural activity should not be a proper design for agrivoltaic design. For agrivoltaic design, you have to compromise your PV orientation or PV design in such a way that according to the crops grown in your agrivoltaic, the light requirement, there is a common list that for this crop, this is the daily light integral requirement. So if I want to grow a strawberry cultivation with the agrivoltaic system, I need to know what is the daily light integral requirement of strawberry plant. If I want to grow cucumber, I want to know what is the DLI requirement of cucumber. Then only I can optimize my PV orientation design so that agrivoltaic, the land equivalent ratio or the integration, synergism between these two systems will be at a maximum point. 80 plus 80 is 160, whatever Mr. Winter has showed. That thing only is achievable when we design this PV system in such a way that it should also match the agricultural part. Otherwise, our agricultural economic part or agricultural yield part will always be lower than the conventional one. So we did some modeling exercise and we found that in block 1, block 2, block 3, different DLI zones. For example, the red one 0 to 5 mole per meter square per day. Then somewhat orange 5 to 10, 10 to 15, 15 to 20. Okay. So if you can see, this is the zone where the DLI is very less. What is the value? Less than 5. In less than 5 mole per meter square per day, we cannot grow mung bean. We cannot grow different types of crops as shown in the previous slides. That it is not possible to grow crops with a DLI availability less than 5 mole per meter square day. And these common literatures are available that for this plant we can need this much of DLI. So for this zone, DLI less than 5, we recommend to grow only vegetable crops with some leafy production system, not grain production system. For any crop which have a grain production system or fruit production system, they need much more DLI. For example, tomato. If I want to grow tomato, as the example shown by PM Chauhan sir from Gujarat, in their that PV system installation and tomato crop, the yield was quite higher. And I read the report because the DLI is actually matching with the PV design they have made. For tomato crop, the high DLI is not required. This medium range. So in this zone, we can easily grow tomato. And if we expose this tomato crop to a very high amount of light, then obviously the stress will be occurring because so much radiation is available and so much evapotranspiration losses of water will be there. So plant will be at a stress to grow in a arid condition. So we can cut off some amount of radiation to those tomato crop and we can bring it down to this 15 to 20 DLI requirement. Then it is sufficient. Then if we want to grow some very tolerant crop, drought tolerant crop, very hardy crop, we can grow in this region. So in the agrivoltaic design, from the solar PV below module to the interspace areas, we can divide this zone into 3 distinct zones. One is the totally shaded zone, one is the partially shaded zone, and one is the totally open zone. And in these 3 different zones, we can choose selectively different types of crops. We cannot grow the same crop from the solar below PV module to the interspace module itself. Okay, so then we come to the economic parts. Economics means how it is sustainable, and so many questions has been raised that whether this grid integration of the agrivoltaic system and how it should be make a business model for a large scale operation. For example, here you can see we choose 1 hectare land as the area, and here 400 kilowatt we recommend. Why 400 kilowatt? Because conventional solar power plant 500 kilowatt is the optimum size. So we are compromising 100 kilowatt in 1 hectare area to give some space to the crop. So agrivoltaic system with agrivoltaic design with 400 kilowatt capacity in 1 hectare, it has a discounted payback period of 10.4 years and internal rate of return is 16%. So if we reduce this 200 kilowatt, 400 kilowatt to lower down to 200 or 250, somewhat designs as shown in Japan also, the interspace between the two PV model is quite high, then obviously the capital cost or cash outflow will be reduced, and obviously this discounted payback period will be more or less same or sometimes higher. And it has an internal rate of return of 16%. So we can see that agrivoltaic system has a great future to promote in the lands where the agricultural production potential is in some constant. I cannot recommend this agrivoltaic system to a land system where agriculture is the main operation or main activities, and the cropping intensity of those land is 300% or 200%. In those land, I cannot recommend the agrivoltaic system. But the land capability classification, if you know it, there are 8 classes are there in land capability classification. Class 1 to class 8. Class 1 is fully fit for agriculture purpose, and class 8 is only fit for grazing purpose, or it is totally barren. And class 4 is the middle one. So class 5th onwards, whatever land is available in India, that lands can be utilized for rehabilitation of degraded land and also for PV generation and also for the agricultural purpose. And this is our future target of the sustainable development goal in our climate change summit. We have already committed, and we are working on land degradation neutrality. We have to neutral 26 million hectares of degraded land by 2030. 2030, we have to neutralize this much amount of land. And where from we will rehabilitate or reclaim those degraded land. So agrivoltaic option is the most potential option, as already reported by Baron Govt from USA, California. He also published a paper in Scientific Report, and he clearly mentioned that dry lands is the future through agrivoltaic model to achieve the land sustainable development goal number 15, the land degradation neutrality. So agrivoltaic system has a different role in different systems. Again, the carbon footprint reduction. We are talking about the clean energy generation. The carbon footprint reduction we have calculated, assuming that the emission factor of the thermal based power plant is 820 gram or 0.82 kilogram carbon dioxide equivalent per unit of electricity. So if we generate this agrivoltaic system with 1 hectare in 400 kilowatt capacity, we assume that 479 ton of carbon dioxide footprint is reduced from 1 hectare of land, and this is a huge carbon footprint we are reducing. We are here assuming that the PV has also some carbon dioxide footprint during its generation process and also during its establishment process in the field. But during its generation stage, there is no carbon footprint. So this is very negligible, and we can assume that 479 ton of carbon dioxide equivalent carbon footprint we can reduce. And again, this is another answer to the question raised by Susmita madam in the first lecture, that what should be the model for upscaling of this agrivoltaic system. We do not want to see it has a 100 kilowatt pilot model. We want to see this as a megawatt model, and for this thing we are doing a lot of policy documents for the last 2 years, and this is the model we propose. And I specifically raise this slide in every presentation, that what should be the model, business model to promote in a large scale. I made it in different forums, and the PM Kusum scheme actually in the component 1, target to install this system to some extent with this large scale operation. Here I replicate the purchase for agreement document of the solar rooftop system as implemented by Government of India. We in our institutes installed a rooftop system of 375 kilowatt system with no investment on the solar PV part. We called a RESCO company, fourth partner. They install, they invest. We only provided the roof, and the purchase for agreement has been signed between Kajri Jodhpur and the fourth partner, and we are in an agreement of 25 years. The agreement is that whatever electricity we will produce, solar plant will produce, we will purchase it. If any extra amount of electricity is there, that electricity will be sold to grid, nearby discount. So this agreement has been done, and we are running in a very successful model for the last 2 years. Every year we are saving 25 lakhs of rupees just by paying rupees 3.19. This is the RESCO bid, 3.19 per kilowatt hour in Rajasthan. Even by paying or by getting a tariff of rupees 3.19, the RESCO company is also already in benefit. They have showed us in their LCC calculation that within 8 to 9 years, they will be in a profitable situation because they have made all this investment. So here both Kajri and the fourth partner will be a win-win situation even after 9 to 10 years. Even Kajri Jodhpur is a win situation even from the first day itself. Though whether similar model can be replicated in the agrivoltaic models, whether a agreement between the farmers and a RESCO company can be made to install a agrivoltaic system where land ownership will be given to the farmer and the solar PV ownership will be given to the RESCO company, and whatever responsibility for crop yield and farm produce will be given on the farmer, and the RESCO company will take part the PV generated capacity, and the total revenue generated will be shared between the farmer and the RESCO company as per the agreement. So this is a win-win situation, or the public-private partnership mode, whatever we are talking. This should be an ideal model to install it in a large scale, and this thing we have already done in the Dhule district. Whatever Mr. Tobias Winter was saying in his presentation, that 7 megawatt agrivoltaic plant has been installed just 2 weeks back, and we are working with them for the last 2 years to convince them to install this system in a large scale. They visited our agrivoltaic system for quite few times. We are already in their board of studies meeting for quite a long time, and they have made a partnership with Panasonic, Grow Solar with the Panasonic. They have made a partnership. Grow Solar will take part the agricultural part. The Panasonic will invest on the solar PV part, and they have made a common venture to install the agrivoltaic system. And I hope this will be the most successful venture of the agrivoltaic system in the country. And hopefully from 2022 onwards, our agricultural activity will be started on that plant. And some benefits of agrivoltaic system and some drawbacks, as we have already made during my presentation, that so many benefits of agrivoltaic systems are there. Increased income from farmland, recycling of harvested rainwater, improvement in microclimate, reduction in soil erosion by wind, reduction in dust load, improvement in land equivalent ratio. We have achieved 1.41. In France, they have achieved 1.62. That means 41% additional advantage over the conventional system, whether you are practicing solar PV, whether you are practicing agriculture. So there will be 41% increase. Then soil moisture conservation, then reduction in carbon footprint. And some drawbacks are also there. The ownership issue, this managerial complexity, then sharing of benefits in case of joint venture, then high capital investment during initial establishment. And this can be taken care by a suitable policy measures like PM Kusum. So we did some policy documentation also. The renewable energy, a new paradigm for growth in agriculture. And this is available in our academy, National Agriculture Science Academy. So in their website it is available. And I am not going into details because I have taken too much time now. Already 25 minutes is over. So these are some solar PV pumping system we worked for marginal farmers. and we gave some solutions to harvest the rainwater from the ground surface, make a farm pond, and use the solar water pumping for irrigation purpose and grow some commercial crops. So this is also we are working for 2 or 3 projects funded by international agency also and funded by NABARD also. In so many programs, we are trying to harvest rainwater, whether from land, whether from solar PV module, and we have to optimize the water utilization in the production system. So this is our main mandate of our organization. So we are working in different aspects of this irrigation and water use. And last month we published a paper. You can go through it. The performance evaluation of solar PV pumping system for providing irrigation through micro irrigation techniques using surface water resources in hot arid region. And this is published in Agricultural Water Management. So in this paper, we described all the aspects of the solar water pumping for marginal farmers. I am not talking about the big solar pump of 3 HP or 5 HP. I am talking about only for 1 HP solar pump for a 1 acre model, how it can be sustainable for Indian condition. So thank you very much for giving me opportunity to share the findings of the agrivoltaic systems at Kajri, Jodhpur. So thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Santra. That was quite a very comprehensive presentation. You also spoke about the designs of systems vis-a-vis the agricultural productivity, what kind of props should be considered when the design is being talked about. Thank you very much. Now, there are a couple of questions on the chat. The first question comes from Mr. Chandrasekhar of GE Gas Power. He is asking, how can farmers initiate the agro PV projects? I think you are equipped to answer this. You come from the Kajri Institute, and therefore you should be able to really respond to this question, Dr. Santra.
Yes, the farmers, actually we tried to catch hold with the farmers for the installation of the system. And I can say the farmers are always willing to install the system in their land. And I feel only one drawback to install this system in the farmer's field: the evacuation of power from the agrivoltaic system. Because in 1 hectare model, we are installing 400 kilowatt solar PV panel. So we are expecting 1600 unit of electricity in each day. I cannot consume that much of amount of energy in my field for my farm operation. So I have to evacuate the energy. Now comes to the grid integration. What is the target of this? What is the main objective of this training program also? That how the grid integration should be done between the agrivoltaic system and local discom. So I motivated some farmers. They were very much happy to install the system. Even from their own capital investment, they were ready. But to get the net meter correction or for evacuation of the generated electricity to the local grid, it is a big problem as I feel from the surrounding local discom venture, because I installed the system in my field and I know how it was difficult to install a bidirectional energy meter in my agrivoltaic system. So this is the only drawback I can feel. Otherwise, it should be. It is a very easy operation to install the system, because so many banking sectors are available to finance this agrivoltaic system. And if this evacuation part is already over, I can guarantee you the NABARD will be the first person to install or to giving the loaning facility to farmer to install the system.
Yeah, thank you, Dr. Santra. I think that could be one of the recommendations from this webinar to MNRE, that they should proactively involve the discoms and the transmission companies in this. I mean, yes, you have rightly pointed out, I think that's the reason why we have joined hands with the Central Board of Irrigation and Power, because most of the discoms across the country are their members. And I find a lot of distribution companies also participating in this webinar, and they should really help out the farmers. I mean, they should go and tell their bosses, their senior management, here is an opportunity for discoms to really get into this new business area. Thank you very much. The second question is on, I don't think, is CBIP making PPP at ₹5? No, I don't think that CBIP is into the business of into the projects. Yeah. Then another question is there. One minute. Yeah.
other than irrigation purpose, what could be the usages of small kW agro PV system from farmer's point of view? How would he be able to sell surplus? Yeah, it's coming to the same, yeah, what we discussed. I think, yeah, we will definitely come up with that as the top 5 recommendations or top 10 recommendations from this webinar. Yeah, thank you very much.
May I respond to this question? Because Mr. Bhagwanth, he wanted to know the small kilowatt Agro PV system from farmer's point of view. How would we able to surplus power? Okay. Yeah. So just to answer this question, I will be very much happy to answer this question because I have tried this thing in a farmer's field in Odisha, in Balanghat district, in a tribal areas. I installed a very small system, 5 kilowatt agrivoltaic system. So I connected this 5 kilowatt agrivoltaic system because there were no electricity connection on that tribal areas. Okay, so when I install that system in that field, there are so many opportunities coming to that farmer. First of all, it will produce the pumping water requirement, as already mentioned by Mr. Parwal. Second, I gave him the lighting facility to the farmer's household, so they can do some extra work in their home itself. Third one, any type of chaffing operations, winnowing operations, milling operations, and custom hiding basis, we made a design and we gave a battery backup with that agrivoltaic system. At least 2 kilowatt battery backup I have given. So this is the common custom hiring center of that village itself. So they are so many happy that every time power is available in their villages. So these remote villages, if we can connect with the small agrivoltaic system, I hope this will be very much useful for different purpose in a farm operation, for processing operation, for running a small mills, and for post-harvest operations. Everything it will be useful. So I hope it will be. It has a great use.
Sure. Thank you. There are 2 other questions. I think they will be answered tomorrow, because what is the approximate value of CUF achieved in Agri PV system and bifacial vertical agriculture PV system? Dr. Tripathi will respond to this tomorrow. Mr. Shashi Bhushan, you will have to bear with us for you'll have to wait for tomorrow's presentation. Yeah, there was one other question in the chat. Yeah, what is the minimum solar radiation required for Agri solar project? A quick response from your side. I mean, Dr. Santra?
Yes. There were no minimum criteria. The only criteria is that our business should be profitable. So correct. Our business, to make it a profitable, I cannot install this system in an area where solar radiation availability is less than 3 or 4 kilowatt hour per day. If the availability of the solar radiation, we cannot make the what it is called the capacity utilization factor or the power factor, what you can say. That thing will not be in a profitable situation. So that is the only criteria, that profit should be the maximum.
Yeah. Thank you, Dr. Santra, for that response. We will have more opportunities tomorrow also to pose questions to our other speakers. Now we will get on to, thank you, Dr. Santra, for a wonderful presentation. And now we will have the last but not the least presentation from the Fraunhofer research scientist, Mr. Maximilian Forset. A brief profile of Mr. Maximilian Forset. He has studied control and finance in the automotive industry before getting on to a Master of Science in Sustainable Development and Resource Management. He has studied and worked in the UK, Philippines, India, and Germany. He has been a regular visitor to India, that I'm aware of. He has found his interest and way into agrovoltaics in 2018. For the last 3 years, he has been working on that. He has contributed to several studies, including feasibility and scoping studies for agrovoltaics. His main focus lays in the agrovoltaic technology assessment and innovation transfer in the development context. Incidentally, Fraunhofer has worked with the KfW Development Bank, with Mahagenco,
I might mention that study is also available on the IJAP website. Some of you who are interested in the earlier work, you can have a look at it. And his dream is to one day see all Indian farmers living in sustainable prosperity with the help of solar PV energy and modern agriculture. I mean, this is exactly what our Prime Minister Modi has been talking about, doubling of farmers. And we are in line with your dream. I mean, Mr. Maximilian, we definitely would endorse your dream and we hope that it happens. The floor is yours, Maximilian.
Yes, thank you very much, Anil, for the nice introduction, and also big thanks to all the previous speakers. I will present today some insights or learnings from Germany and Europe. And my focus will also be on the innovation and policy side. So not so much technical like Mr. Santra, but also quite interesting. Can you see my presentation? I think so. Yeah, so first I start with a little overview about integrated PV and what we define or what we can see as agrivoltaics. Then some research and development results of APV Resola, which was our old pilot project. This I will keep a little short only because there's new pilots happening, which also requires our attention. And then I will also talk about the research challenges and the community of worldwide agrivoltaics initiatives, which we are building right now. So first of all, agrivoltaics in the bigger picture is part of the so-called integrated photovoltaics, which basically means the creative and innovative dual use of space. May it be vehicles, buildings, water bodies, and also, of course, agricultural land. If we think about the technical potential here, the example from Germany, of course, in terms of agrivoltaics, we have like a huge potential technically, since there's a lot of agricultural land. But as agrivoltaics, due to some changes in mounting structure and probably specialized modules and other aspects might have a higher capital expenditure. Of course, the economic potential is much lower. We have done some estimations for Germany, and we expect some to land somewhere between 5 and 20% of ground-mounted PV deployment, which would be for Germany about up to 30 gigawatts until 2050. But just a little disclaimer here, these are just rough estimations. Nobody can really see the future. Much depends on developments, research, but also political willingness and policy frameworks. So yeah, we are building the future right now in that sense. So what is agrivoltaics? Here we can see some classification we were working out in Fraunhofer. It's going to be presented in a paper which is currently only under review, so you will not find it online particularly. And here you can see we can have open space, we can have closed space. The opaque buildings we don't particularly see as agrivoltaics because that's more like rooftop PV. But once we go towards the greenhouses, we get in the realm of what we see. But the major focus really lies in the open field systems. And there again, we can divide between interspace PV, what Mr. Santra was presenting, and overhead PV, which is then stilted 2, 3, 4 meters up high, so that the most of the space below can be utilized. Another definition of agrivoltaics, which we can see, which we have done in Germany within the negotiations or the consultations regarding the pre-norm, the so-called DIN spec, is that we have 2 categories here, one with a vertical clearance of higher than 2.1 meters, and the second category with a lower vertical clearance. So on the right, you can see these 2 categories and also variation of the second category. The first one is really that we have all the space below available, and the second one is that we rather focus on the interspace or the interrow space, or even below the modules. It has to be said that this pre-norm is only a pre-norm, so this is not, has no whatsoever legal binding power. It's more a test. So the negotiation process, you can imagine, was very long and very hard. My colleagues were in over 15 months in discussions with all the different stakeholders from industry to agriculture. But finally, after 15 months or something, they came up with a consensus. And now for 2 years, this will be tested in terms of that we advertise the industry to follow the technical specifications, but which of course is not legally binding. But then after 2 years, there will be another round of consultation and discussion in order to come up with a DIN norm that is more obligatory if you want to call your facility agrivoltaic. But once again, that's in the future. But as you, these quality and certification processes take time and a lot of negotiation and consideration. I hope you will get the presentation afterwards, and you can also download it for free after registration on the website given that slide. But yes, important step if we want to ensure quality, if we want to ensure that the due diligence of such systems, we also need not only a policy or political framework, but we also need a technical framework. So yeah, that's our old pilot here, some nice picture from southern Germany. As you can see here, this is mostly for arable land, like normal cropping of potatoes, of winter wheat or clover grass or something, built so that large harvesting machines were to be used. But you can also see that this mounting structure is really heavy, really voluminous. So of course costs were quite high. Yeah, here's some more technical specifications, which I will skip. Most importantly, yeah, about 200 kilowatts, and really the suitability for large harvesting machines. When we have a look at the quick look at the yield, we can also see it's sometimes reduced, sometimes increased, and that really depends on the summer. So if it's a hot summer, if there's a lot of water stress, then the shade can actually do good. And that's only for Germany. So the expectations for hotter climates and expectations for the climate change that we will face in the next decades, supportive arguments that this shading is actually not only not negative, but positive. Yes, so economics for Germany, we have calculated cost increase for this arable farming stilted system for about 4 cents per kilowatt hour. But there are also other systems, for example, regarding horticulture, berry production, which can be done much cheaper. So this is also where the research is going. If you want to read more about the economics on our general experiences from the pilots in Germany, you can check out our guidelines, which we have published end of last year. Also the link available in that presentation. But yeah, let's not talk about the past so much, rather about the future. Here we can see a new facility, a pilot facility, which was just finished construction in 1 month or 2 months ago. And this is located in the western part of Germany, Rhineland-Pfalz, and is focusing on apple production. As you can see here, we went away from this like massive construction towards a more lightweight mounting structure. And also you can see that we were experimenting with different sorts of modules here with different transparency rates. The modules as such are conventional bifacial modules, but the space between the cells is different in terms of size. So we can see what transparency rate is most suitable for that apple growth. You can also see that these modules have glass extension in both sides. This is to provide additional protection against extreme weather events. So over 2/3 of the horticulture production in the south of Germany and also in other parts like West Germany are actually already using hail nets and shading nets. Because it only needs one hailstorm per season, and a big chunk of your harvest is already lost. This is an opportunity for realizing synergy effects, replacing these protection infrastructures by the infrastructure for the mounting structure for the agrivoltaics, and so also reduce costs once again. On the left side, you see the reference field, and yeah, we are very much excited to see in the coming years how the apples will grow and what conclusions we can draw. Yeah. Other innovations and developments here, we have seen already the vertical PV for better electricity supply management by our colleague from Next to Sun, Sasha. And again, this is a very exciting approach, and I'm really also looking forward to see some research results regarding the actual production of food crops. I think the fodder production figures were quite promising, quite good, and now we shall see how food crops will grow. In France, we have Sun Agri, for example. Sorry that I mentioned some companies, but you know these are the big ones anyway. So with a single axis tracking here and a vineyard. In Netherlands and Belgium, also solarizing the orchard with raspberries in the Netherlands by BayWa and pears by KU Leuven in Belgium. And last but not least, dual axis tracking by Remtech in Italy, who are also expanding this dual axis tracking system in all sorts of countries, including China and Japan. Would also be very interesting to see more testing there in India. Overall, we can really say that the trends, at least in Europe, go towards the integration with horticulture. Just because we can have cheaper mounting structures, and we can also have synergies with already existing infrastructure. And we can even improve the yields if we find the right way of managing the shade. So of course for India that might be a little different. There might be Interspace PV system might be economically more viable. But for example, if you think about the horticulture belt in Maharashtra around Nashik, for example, we can it would be great to see some horticulture PV there as well to be tested. Of course, automation, robots for cleaning, but also robots for agriculture, which is quite a far away future subject, but still. Agronomy, especially physiological crop data, policy learning, the tracking systems, especially finding the right algorithms, when to shade and when not to shade. And as Mr. Sandra also explained in detail, the water management, which is of utter importance. Okay, coming to my last point, I think I exceeded my time already. The worldwide agrivoltaics community is really building up. In 2020, we had our first conference organized by our colleagues in France, and in this year, Fraunhofer-ISE had the honor to organize the conference, and next year it will be in Italy. Again, it will be a sort of a hybrid or online format, so no worries. you will be able to join, even though not being able to Europe in case. And again, we have dozens of super interesting presentations, abstracts, papers on literally anything you can think about regarding the subject. But if you want to submit some abstracts, if you want to present your research or your experiences, please make sure that you finish them up by January and February already. So there will be a review process, and then in June the conference will be. Secondly, there's a agrivoltaic international discussion group. So if you want to join, just drop me a message, and I can facilitate that. This is basically to create a space where we can consolidate knowledge, facility databases worldwide, crop repositories, collaboration regarding simulation tools, knowledge exchange, experience exchange regarding social and public acceptance policy, but also business models, ecological studies, and module technologies. Yes, that's it. Thank you very much. And this is our small team. Oh, I forgot to update it. Actually, Rahul, a colleague, just joined 2 weeks ago. And yeah, me, Ifsha, and Max are covering all South Asia and India related queries. Yeah, thank you very much. And I'm looking forward to your questions.
Thank you very much, Mr. Maximilian, for that wonderful presentation. You refer to Nashik. I think there are a lot of rich farmers who can really adopt this technology, who own a lot of vineyards and orchards and whatnot. I'm not too sure whether we have any participation from Nashik area, but yeah, there are lots of interesting opportunities for both the agriculture community and also for the distribution companies. Thank you very much. I'm not seeing any particular questions in the chat. If somebody wants to ask a question, you can unmute yourself and ask directly now. You have chance for the next 5 minutes. We have got 5-7 minutes to go. Yeah. Would somebody like to ask any question to Mr. Maximilian?
I want to give a very big congratulations to Max for extending this agrivoltaic system with apple orchard. And I am very much interested to see the result, because we are also thinking to integrate this system with the fruit orchard, specifically pomegranate in our institute. So in your system, I do not know how it will be successful, or I hope it will be successful, but how this integration is done, it can be shared in future, so that we can also try with the different fruit orchards.
Yes, sure. We can be. That would be awesome. Yes.
Yeah.
Thank you, Dr. Santra. So I don't see any questions flowing in the chat. Just a minute.
So there is one question in chat box.
Yeah, sure. Yeah. I'm not able to see the full question here in the chat.
Question is raised by
Can you read
Mr.
it out?
Shashi Bhushan, sir.
Yeah,
Yes, sir.
no, I'm not able to see the full question. Yeah, can you read that out?
Okay, sir. On behalf of Mr. Shashi Bhushan, I'm going to read these questions. So the difference between efficiency achieved with semi-transparent modules and modules kept somewhat apart for light transmission benefit for crops may be explained briefly.
Yes, no problem. So basically, the cells as such are the same. So the cell efficiency is like around this usual 20%, right? But if we have a look at the module, and if we only define efficiency by the module area, then of course, depending on the transparency rate, the efficiency decreases. So the normal module, which is not transparent at all, will have this usual 20%. But then if we have, for example, 50% transparency, then on the same area, it's only 10% efficiency. But the cells are the same in that sense. So yeah.
Yeah, thank you, Maximum. There is one other question. I mean, from Mr. Panishankar Chilukuri. He is asking, are there any recent automation advances in PV panel cleaning? What is the frequency of cleaning in the European case studies at the orchards?
Yeah, that's also a good question. The cleaning in Europe is not so much of a problem, at least not in mid Europe. Panels were usually cleaned every 1 or 2 years once only, and there is no robotic solution yet. But this is one of the biggest challenge indeed for agrivoltaics in India. How can we facilitate the cleaning? Indeed, but if, at the here in Germany, Belgium, Netherlands, and France also there has been no automated robotic solutions there yet.
Thank you. Let me see if there are any more questions. No, I don't see any more queries in the chat. That means that we have come to the end of today's.
Yeah. Hey, Anil. Hi, Sampath here. Sorry.
Yeah. Hi, Sampath. Sorry, Sampath. Yeah, please go ahead. Yeah.
Hey, hi. Hi, Maxi. Hello, everyone.
Hello.
Indeed, it was a wonderful session. I mean, I thoroughly enjoyed, going through all this, right? I mean, I was going through, multiple videos and multiple PDFs across the internet, but I think this really helps us to understand about the system. I believe it's the same for all of us who are on the call. See, primarily have two questions, right? I'm unsure whether you have visited the southern part of India ever, right? If not, I would like to understand how flexible and how easy would this be. I mean, both systems, right? Of course, the panel system as well as the intermediate crops as well along with that. So based on the climate here in the southern part of the country, how easy or how flexible will it be to maintain for us? That's the first one. And second one, I mean, we're not sure, right? See, in fact, as of now, I'm planning for a domestic, panel setup, right, on a rooftop, where I'm staying, right? So obviously, we can't even think about such kind of big systems, right? We haven't even dreamt about it, right? So, what's the future, going to like to be? I mean, for people like us. Hey Maxi, did you get that or?
What did you? Can you repeat the last two sentences? There was some.
Sure, Maxi. So I mean, did you get the first one? Based on the climatic conditions in the southern part of India, what would be your recommendation? For the intermediate crops. And the second one is, how flexible and how easy is it going to be? Is it going to be for us to probably to start such a big commercial project? Because it's pretty new to us, right?
Yes. So we have we've done some scoping for suitable crops for the Indian context, also with Indian agricultural experts together, and most importantly, but it's not yet published, but most importantly is that I cannot say spontaneously what kind of crops would be suitable for the area you're referring to. Also in South India there might be some differences, and also soil conditions are different. So I think the easiest way for you to approach this is really get in touch with local agricultural experts who can then give assessments, because we are only working on crop repositories now, and the most the data on crops which we have is really locally spread. So sorry if I'm not able to give you some definite answer on this, but yeah, get in touch with your local agricultural universities, discuss the topic with the farmers that are in this area. Many might already have some traditional knowledge on the behavior of certain crops in shades. Yes, And the second part, so if we think about Mr. Santra also has mentioned that if we have, for example, large and big rainfalls during the monsoon, for example, we have discovered or we have seen that there will be a danger of soil erosion. So especially if the lower edge of the module is higher than 2 meters, there must be some solution to make sure that that the rain is either distributed evenly below the modules, or there's some sort of rain gutter. In terms of the industrial facilitation of upscaling, also this needs to be discussed with your local DISCOM. But the major point I'm always advertising here is that that we really have to make sure to keep the soil quality, right? So you have to, in the planning of the construction, you really have to see which kind of machinery you can actually use there. The foundations preferably should not be, in a perfect world, they should not be concrete, but of course there are a lot of systems with concrete foundations, but everything or let's say suitable measures should be taken not to contaminate or damage the soil, because agriculture lies in the core of our considerations as well, and after that, if the system might be relocated or decommissioned, the land should still be perfectly usable for agriculture, just as it was before. This is a very important point from a sustainability point of view. I hope I will address some of your concerns.
Yes, Max. I mean, that was indeed great. That was indeed for a beginner like me, at least that helps, right? In fact, I mean, the first point, the reason for raising the first question was I want to understand more about the global crops as well, integrating global crops along with this system. So that was the reason for for me to raise that point. Yeah, indeed, it was good, Maxi. Thanks for that.
Yeah, sorry, I thought you were referring specifically to southern Indian crops, and there I was rather not giving anything before I talked something wrong.
No problem.
May I add something, because I'm not able to get who is asking this question, because I am from Indian Council of Agriculture Research, and I can suggest one more thing, as already Maxi has suggested. We are working in Indian Council of Agriculture Research, and we are having 105 research institutes throughout the country. And you are from South India. I do not know from where, Tamil Nadu or Kerala.
From Telangana, Dr. Santra.
Telangana, already there is a university, so many ICI research institutes, and I have so many contacts with them. From Telangana, they are approaching us to install the agrivoltaic system. Even on a personal basis, so many farmers have approached to me. They want to install this system. So we are always ready to help you. You are most welcome to contact with me or some of our institutes located in Telangana. We have a big research institutes in Telangana also. So
sure, Dr. Santra, that helps. Thank you.
Okay.
Thank you. I think we have just exceeded the time by 3 minutes. Now we will close. On behalf of both CBIP and IJF, I would like to extend my profuse thanks to the speakers of the day, Mr. Tobias Winter, Mr. Sasha Krause-Tunker, Mr. Dr. Priyabrata Santra, Mr. Maximilian Forsett, for the excellent presentations, and also for the patience of our delegates. I mean, I hope you enjoyed the presentations, and we really look forward to your joining tomorrow at 2:30. If there are more questions and queries, you could again pose it tomorrow, and we will try and get responses to your queries. And I would wish a very nice evening today, and look forward to seeing you all tomorrow. Thank you very much. Thank you.
Yeah.
Bye. Bye.
Thank you.
Bye.